Okay, I feel like this should be take 15. I've tried to do this video so many times today and it just keeps going to heck in a handbasket. Let's just say that. I'm here to talk to you about making change. Change is hard and there are steps to change. Whether you are making changes to lose weight, regain your health, whatever it is, become a millionaire, there are steps to change. And these are some things that I've always told my children, which are there are certain things that you can do in life to learn. You can try something yourself without asking for help, and you might succeed and you'll learn from that. You might fail and you'll learn from that. Or you can ask someone that has achieved what it is you want to achieve and implement the steps that they implemented. It might not look exactly the same, but similar, and that's another way. So let's talk about that. First of all, we have a thought. And we have the thought that, oh my gosh, I need to do A, B, or C. Oh my gosh, I need to lose weight. Oh my gosh, I need to pay off debt. I need to work on my marriage. I need to work on my parenting. Whatever it is, we have an event that happens. There's a social worker I used to work with in my job. I'm a medical yoga therapist and solution focused coach, and I work in cardiac rehab. And she used to say people really never make change until they become so uncomfortable that they are forced to make change. I believe that. I have seen that so many times. And I have worked with thousands of people. I owned a vocational school for 10 years. I was in private practice. I had a contract with the VA. I've been in cardiac rehab for 6 years now. And I've seen people who have been wildly successful. And that's because they stuck with it. They gave themselves grace. They weren't perfect, but they did what they were supposed to do. And they did the steps and they saw change. A lot of people will have a thought. They decide they're ready for change, but they're not really ready to change. They're not really ready to take the steps, to go through the hard step, to understand that it's going to be bumpy. They want to be told that the habits they have that are not good for them are good for them. People want to believe that things that aren't good for them are good for them oftentimes. When we have a spending addiction and we get that high from buying that new thing, we want to believe that's good for us, but we know in the end it's not good for us if we have credit card debt, or if we eat that cheeseburger or 2 cheeseburgers, that we're going to gain weight and have heart disease. But we want to believe that that won't happen. And so we have the thought, then we have to decide that we're ready. And when we decide that we're ready, we have to find the guidance and implement the change. And the implementation, we often need people who have done things before us. And so and that also is the longest part. That's the part that takes time. Learning something, making the changes. You don't go from because I went from being vegetarian, I always joke that I was a bread and cheesetarian, to pescatarian, eating fish, to back to eating some meat. I called myself a flexitarian, to even low carb after I had gained weight. I'd done 10 pounds per decade. In my 20s, I gained 10 pounds. In my 30s, I gained 10 pounds. In my 40s, by the time I was almost 50, I was 30 pounds overweight. And I was not having it anymore. And I had developed rheumatoid arthritis, a heart condition. Even though I thought I was eating healthy, something wasn't working. I was diagnosed with RA. I had already given up sugar and gluten for 10 years. The low carb diet that I had been on I had lost 10 pounds, but it had made me so sick. I had developed rheumatoid arthritis, terrible. And so I had 2 doctors who said it would be beneficial for you to go on a whole food plant-based diet, because I said I'm willing to do whatever it takes naturally. And they said, okay, well, this is what it takes. And so I did it. But it wasn't easy. I had to find the tools. Luckily, I work in lifestyle medicine, so those tools were available to me. But I found people who were already doing that to guide me. I found them on YouTube. I found them on podcasts. I found a friend that was vegan. And I started asking for help. Like, okay, what do I do to get myself off cheese? Because I loved cheese. And a friend gave me a tip on how to break the cheese habit, which was, if I remember correctly, I did vegan cream cheese with a can of vegan chili, and it made like a cheese dip. And eventually, I don't eat vegan cream cheese hardly anymore, or processed food, but eventually I went vegan, and then I went whole food plant-based. So I do very little processed food. So anyway, implementation. So I've also developed a lot of frugal habits. My husband and I have been side hustling for a decade. We met as two single parents. I was already extremely frugal single mom, and actually I was just single, and I had been extremely frugal and tight with my money. I had been married to someone who wasn't good with money, and I met my husband, who was in bankruptcy at the time. He was a single dad raising the daughter on his own. He had custody of his daughter, and I had custody of my 4 children, and we had to work really hard and do extra jobs and save and all of that. We did not get married until 4 years ago. We've been together 10 years. And eventually now we have a very high net worth because of all of the implementation that we did over and over and over and over again. And the way I have stayed motivated, which is I have been interested in frugality and simple living my whole life, but I surround myself with people. I taught and signed up to voluntarily teach voluntary simplicity classes. I watch people on YouTube. I listen to podcasts like Bigger Pockets Money and Choose FI. I watch YouTubers like Frugal Over 50, Rowena Marie. Oh my goodness, for my diet, people like Flourishing Miranda. There's just a ton of them that I watch that help me learn to do things that they have done successfully and implemented to get to where they want to get. And that implementation takes daily. Every day I watch something in one of those realms to help, or listen to something in one of those realms to help me stay. So now I have achieved the thing. I have, even though I have long COVID, I have reversed my RA. I do not test positive. I reversed my Hashimoto's thyroiditis. I do not test positive for those anymore. I lost 30 pounds. I've kept it off for 2.5 years. I've stayed whole food plant-based. And I've also reached a net worth that I had a goal of reaching with my husband. And a lot of that implementation was arduous. It took time. It was bumpy. It wasn't always pretty. It wasn't always fun. But at the end of the day, I really kind of have enjoyed the journey, because with each little thing I did or changed, there was success. Like getting our emergency fund to a certain level or to the next level, or paying off the debt, or paying off our house, seeing our net worth hit that number that we were looking forward to hitting. I mean, we're not quite where we want to be yet as far as cash flow, but in net worth, if we sold everything today, we could retire comfortably. But 10 years ago, I was making $17,000 in debt and was about at just maybe $20,000 net worth. So it has been a long, arduous process, but there's been a lot of joy. I have had joy along the way. And a lot of that joy has been in my connection with other people going through the process and making videos like this and sharing the process. And then I want to talk, the last step to change is maintenance. Maintenance often looks different than it did to the implementation. The same but different. We still drive used cars. However, we did just buy a more expensive used truck for my husband because he'd been driving a $1,000 truck around. We did, trying to think what else. We did take a week-long vacation, though we used our points and we had a bunch of points. It didn't cost us very much money, and we still did it frugally. We still ate dinner at home every night, had lunch out because lunch is cheaper than dinner. We planned out our activities. We gave ourselves a budget. We saved and paid cash. So those implementation hacks that we have always used, those things that we do, we still have those habits. But whereas we might have taken a vacation closer to home for 3 days, or we can afford now to take a long vacation every year. So it looks different. Maintaining looks different. When I am faced, and it's a hard transition, because when I'm faced with a decision like, hey, can I, can I help this person with this thing? And it's going to be a certain amount of money. Like we helped a kid with a car and it was $5,000. It kind of made me feel panicky because $5,000 is a lot of money to me. But this kid of ours, this older kid of ours, had really had a string of bad luck. And we just decided rather than loan, we would give. And we did. And we also had 2 of our kids get married in the past year. So there's just been some expenses. We just give all of our kids $1,000 and say, do what you want with it. It's not a lot, but we have 6 kids between us. And, there's a lot and I had to sit back and think, this is a fraction of my net worth. I can quit worrying about this. I can now hire someone to do things that we used to do ourselves, because when we go to work, now my husband and I have been in business so long that we have a lot of business. It makes more sense for us to spend our time doing the thing that gives us a large amount per hour, if you will, a larger return on our investment per hour, and pay someone to do the things that would take us away from our business. And also we value what little bit of leisure time we have together. And so we would rather not be working on projects on the house when we could spend our 2-hour date night. That's pretty sacred to us, just relaxing and not spending. We do a date night once a week, and it's pretty sacred. I don't want my husband to be painting cabinets on our date night. He can go to work, and in a week he can make 5 times what it would cost us to pay a painter to paint our cabinets. When we were in the building stages, the implementation stages, that did not make sense for us. But it does now. Now that I have lost 30 pounds, I can eat a few things here and there that I wouldn't eat before. If I see my weight start creeping up, I may take it back down. But when I was implementing this, I was really strict because that's for me, I need those guardrails. Eat this, don't eat that. Instead of ice cream, you make an ice cream with frozen bananas. Instead of a milkshake with milk, you make a green smoothie, things like that. I needed. I still have 99% of those habits, but occasionally there are things that I would do that I kind of have let loose a little bit more because I can now, because I know what it takes to maintain my healthy weight. I hope that makes sense. I know change is hard, but there is a lot of fun in change too. And it's not always as painful, I think, as people think it's going to be. So as a matter of fact, I'm going to help someone right now with their finances. And a lot of times people get really scared at making change. But to be honest with you, it's really empowering. So when you're ready to make a change, just know that you're going to try this thing. And if you don't like it or if it doesn't work for you, you always have the power to change your mind. And we have this saying in a support group that we're in. We always say, come to 6 meetings. I'm in Al-Anon, which is a support group for people who have had addiction in their family. And we say, come to 6 meetings, and if you don't like it, we'll gladly refund your misery. So remember that. Change can lead to a happier life, and it's often worth it. Thank you so much for being here. If you like this, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you. Bye-bye.